All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, December 23rd, and we have a million NBA games to jump into in today's video. Like we always do, we're gonna go through each and every one of these games. I'm gonna give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about the games, but all of my final plays, what I'm actually rolling with myself, those will be in the pinned comment. So make sure to keep an eye on that. Yesterday, fadeable day. Okay, yesterday we go 1-3 here. Tough to see that. We have the Nets and Nuggets under. That one doesn't cash. We have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope over 12.5 PRAs. He has barely any points. He finishes at 12, so it was a good read. You obviously expect him to drop a couple more buckets than he does, but nonetheless, still an L, right? And then the Hawks money line, if you watch yesterday's video, that's kind of like if you know type of a thing, because I said I was crazy for taking it, but something just clicked in my dumb brain, and I was like, all right, let's roll with it. That was also a loss. But then DeJounte Murray over 22.5 here points and rebounds. He comes through, has a good night. My favorite play of the night hits. Does it matter? No, because we put a unit on all of these. So nonetheless, 1-3 night. The Guppies, go ahead, have your way. Be all happy and high and mighty about it. Guppies thinking they're sharks. But in terms of our ride of the day, it doesn't get any better. Devontae has ride of the day here. Spencer Dinwiddie, 7.5 assists. Now, I like the plus money here, plus 124. Dinwiddie had hit this a few times as of late, but yesterday just not his night. Spencer Dinwiddie has a bad night. And speaking of Dinwiddie here, he was the, unfortunately was sort of the product of what ruined our prize pick slip that we made on the live stream yesterday. Look at that. We go 4 or 5. This was collaborative, right? Siakam, Murray, Harris, and Bogdanovic all cash. Look at that Dinwiddie square. That is very, very tough. But guys, if you want to sign up for PrizePicks, make sure to use that link in the pinned comment. You get a Kevin Durant free square right now, and you get your deposit match. So go check out PrizePicks. But back to the ride of the day here. If you guys do want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. We're jumping on board with one person's pick, and I'm giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. So go ahead and drop those ride of the days. Hashtag ride of the day. You got to use the hashtag in the comments. I'm also posting it on my X. Make sure to follow me there. I'm following everyone back. But yeah, Devontae, shout out to you. I like the spot for plus money. Dinwiddie just has one of the worst games he's had all year. Let's dive into the slate, guys. We might go through it fairly fast. We're planning on going live again at some point later today because, man, these recent live streams have been awesome. You guys have been killing it in terms of engaging in the comments and whatnot. I think we peaked at just over 200 people in there last night, which is awesome. So shout out to you guys. But yeah, we'll probably do that again. We might go through these games kind of quick here because look at the size of that slate. But nonetheless, like I said, we might get more context and throw out some more player props in a stream later. We'll see. No promises, but let's get into it. Knicks taking on the Bucks here. This is a weird one because I would say the Bucks have been just playing unbelievable basketball, right? And the Knicks are kind of up and down. They're not really like firing on all cylinders. But that being said, this is a preview of what's to come on Christmas. And I would say the Bucks are probably more geared up for a Christmas Day type game than this one. And the fact that this is a 2.5 point spread tells me a lot about this game. So I think that the books obviously think this is a close game. I would say that this Knicks team, hasn't really had, I think they've lost like 8 straight to Milwaukee too. But this line is the lowest line that they've had in quite some time here too. So I'm going to lean towards the Knicks plus the 2.5. Again, I don't think that this becomes a final play just because Milwaukee is the better team. Giannis is on the injury report too. So would it surprise us if it's like, oh, Giannis doesn't play, but he's going to play Christmas? Maybe not. That obviously could be a thing that's swinging the line here too. But yeah, this line being at 2.5 tells me that the books think this is a close game, and there's a reason for that. So I'll take the home dog, the Knicks, plus 2.5. Again, do I want to bet against Milwaukee? Probably not, but that is the way we're going to lean in terms of this game. In terms of a total here, 244. If the Knicks are going to keep this game close, I think that they slow the tempo down and the defense plays well. So I'm going to lean towards the under 244. But again, and I hate to start the video off with a game that I'm like, I don't think this makes its way into the final plays, but that is the truth because when you think about it like this, Milwaukee can score 140 themselves, and it's like, well, if they have one of those nights, then this under is shot, right? So I don't know if it's worth also betting against Milwaukee in terms of an over-under, but nonetheless, guys, I lean towards the Knicks and the under. It's really those or pass for me in this game. All right, next up, we have the Clippers taking on the Celtics here. Jason Tatum's questionable. Kristaps Porzingis already ruled out. Obviously, the Celtics, I would say, pretty decent game on Christmas going up against the Lakers, so they may be already thinking about that, but they're playing the Clippers tonight. Clippers been playing good basketball. Now, they lost to OKC, but prior to that, they had won 9 games, and they had covered in, I believe, 7 of those 9, so they had been playing good basketball. I'm not ready to jump off that bandwagon in terms of them playing good basketball yet, and I'm a big Celtics fan, but what I'll tell you is, much like the game we just looked at, that point spread being only 1.5. Now, I know no Porzingis, but Kawhi and Jason Tatum both questionable here, so that should cancel each other out in terms of line making. The fact that this is such a small line and the Clippers are home dogs, I don't hate that spot. Now, I am biased. I never bet against my Boston Celtics, so call me biased, an idiot, dummy, betting with my heart, that type of thing, but I'm fine to lean against them, right? Like, I think this could be a game that the Clippers either win outright or obviously keep that 1.5 points, so I'll take the Clippers in terms of my lean. In terms of a total 230, I think that's way too low. This is a Clippers team that, like I said, has been playing some good basketball, and listen to the points scored over their last 5 here. I guess I should say, actually, it even dates back to that. So I'll just go through their last 10, but it's well enough to be over this 230 in terms of them doing their half. 113, 111, 117. So that was the least recent 3 games. That's we're talking 10 games here. That's the 10, 9, and 8 spot. But then all of a sudden it gets interesting. 132, 121, 144, 119, 151, 120, and then they score 115 against OKC, which is still half of their body of work that needs to go into this over. And then the Celtics, on the other hand, like, their offense has been cooking too. Last 2 games, 126, 144. Points allowed, 132, 119. Like, this is a Celtics team that I say all the time too, right? When they are on the road, that defense isn't as good. No Porzingis either, which he's been a big rim protector for that team. I like the over 230 in this spot for sure. All right, Pacers taking on the Magic. This is another weird one. I'm sorry, guys, that 3 games in, it's like the like, oh, these are tricky spots. But this is another one where you look at that line and it's like, okay, are the Magic coming back down to earth first off? Because obviously they were one of the best they still are, but one of the best against the spread teams this year. But they've been dominant at home, not on the road. So I'm seeing Pacers -1 on some sportsbooks. We have a 1.5 on the graphic here, but I think that the Pacers win this game. Like, they're due for a win. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Orlando also has lost 4 straight, so they're not playing great basketball, but they've run through a gauntlet. Boston, Miami, Milwaukee. So if you want to make the argument that this is a good spot for Orlando, fine. I just don't think they keep up with the pace of the Pacers. So give me the Pacers here. Some major injuries to note. Jalen Suggs on the injury report for Orlando. You're like, oh, that's a big deal, right? How about this? Tyrese Halliburton on the injury report for the Pacers. So before you go jumping and saying, oh, 1.5, maybe that's why that line's so low. But if he plays or anything, like if he's good to go, I should say, then I like the Pacers. But if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play, I don't think that the Pacers are really worth taking, especially against an Orlando team that is kind of due in a sense. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with anything, because I don't mind the under in this spot. How can you take a Pacers under? Right, but if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play, boom, huge loss to their offense. And 2, this Orlando team really doesn't strike me as a high-scoring team lately. Right, 97, 106, and then 114 was their highest scoring output in about 5 games. Like, they scored sub 105 in 3 of their last 5 games. Sub 115, which you would obviously need 115 from them probably to hit this over. Sub 115 in all of their last 5 games. So, you know what I mean? Like, if they're going to keep that pace of play, no Halliburton for the Pacers potentially, then I do think that's an under. Even if Halliburton plays, I don't mind the under in this spot. All right, we got Charlotte taking on the Nuggets. You got to believe that the McNuggets here are going to win this game by more than 8 points, right? I've seen some sportsbooks bump this to 9 as well, so they're not playing around. People are buying those Nuggets -8 spots, and obviously, looking at it being like, well, sportsbooks don't want to have that risk, so let's move it to 9. They aren't a back-to-back. I'll give credit there, but this is a Nuggets team that they're not that great on the road, but they've won 3 straight games. 2 of those were on the road. They're on a road trip right now. They play Golden State on Christmas, and I will say, I keep mentioning it, though that's 2 days away from now, that could be a huge look-ahead spot for any of these teams playing on Christmas. Like, it's enough of the holiday spirit right now, right, for them to be like, oh, well, yeah, we're playing on Christmas. Like, it's a thing. So maybe buyers beware in terms of some of these Christmas Day matchups that are going to happen, because the Nuggets, I could totally see, well, they're on a back-to-back and they're thinking about Christmas. This could be the game where Charlotte somehow gets them, you know what I mean? But it's not worth betting on Charlotte, in my opinion. So by default, I'm looking at the better team in Denver here. They have no injuries really to note here on the injury report either. Now the total is sitting at 226.5. It's interesting because I think that, Charlotte's defense isn't great, right? This Denver defense on the road isn't great. I like the over 226.5 a lot. Now, if this turns into a blowout, that would make it tough because I want Charlotte to at least contribute in this game, right? But I think Charlotte can give you like 110 tonight. I really do. Maybe they give you, even if Charlotte gives you 105, there's a chance for this over because I don't think that they stop Denver. So I'm going to lean towards the over. I probably like that more than anything in this game. All right, Pelicans taking on the Rockets here. I'm just going to go and lean towards the back-to-back spot for the Rockets. Going to cost them here. New Orleans, little bit too big of a number here, 6.5, so I don't think it makes its way into a final plays, but I do think that they're, in a good spot. They're at home. Rockets off a back-to-back. Big win against Dallas. So the starters barely played 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, excuse me. So, maybe the back-to-back doesn't really cost them, but there's a reason why this is a big number, New Orleans being favored. So I'm going to lean towards them. Zion's on the injury report. Obviously worth mentioning. So a lot of injuries today, overall. But yeah, give me the Pelicans here minus the points. Terms of a total 223. I think the Pelicans actually score a lot of points today against a back-to-back defense of the Rockets. So maybe this is a spot in which we look at the team total for the Pelicans. We're going to want to, suss out the injuries, but yeah, maybe this is a spot where we look at the team total for the Pelicans because I don't necessarily look at this and say it's going to be a low-scoring game, but we know Houston, their defense can play well, which is why I think that there might be an edge in Pelicans point total because they might have some lower lines than normal, right? But I don't know if the Rockets defense is going to be stable also in a sense on a back-to-back. So yeah, I like Pelicans team total over here. Maybe the over in general, but I don't know if the Rockets offense on a back-to-back is really going to click either. All right, guys, before we get into the rest of the games, if you guys want to pick up some great merch and support us at the same time, check out the Fade Me store. We got a couple things on right now. This is a premium sweatshirt that we just launched, literally premium too, and we sell it for $60. That's a high price point on our shop. Obviously, in the world of stores and sweatshirts, it's not that expensive, but go check out fademe.store, guys. Tons of cool designs over there. We got the Don't Be a Guppy tee. We got the Guy Boston 25K tee, which is crazy to think they're almost at 45K. But yeah, go check it out if you want to support us. Fademe.store. I'll put all that information in the pinned comment as well for your, ease. But yeah, guys, if you want to support us and support what we're doing here, pick up some merch. It's really good stuff, really good quality. It's not just some BS. Here's a crappy t-shirt. Let's put a logo on it and sell it. No, we're doing this the real way. So go check it out, guys. Again, fademe.store. All right, Brooklyn taking on Detroit. This Pistons team is just obviously pretty fadeable at this point. I don't think that we can look at them and be like, oh, they can do anything, because even to that degree of, they've lost a million straight games, right? Was it 24 or something like that? Which is absurd. But they're not even covering anymore. At the beginning of the year, they were covering decent amount of games, but not really. They've only covered 2 games in their last 9 here. And Brooklyn's coming off a game in which, they kind of fought that game hard, but ultimately, falls short. Dinwiddie doesn't have a good game. We thought he would. We showed the prize pick slip, blah, blah, blah. Though it's a back-to-back, I think the Nets bounce back in a decent way here. One of the best teams against the spread on the season, and definitely at home. So 9.5 points may seem like a lot, but it's nothing that I'm really afraid of here whatsoever. I think this is a good spot for Brooklyn to kind of bounce back and almost in a get-right spot. This Brooklyn team they've lost, 5 games in a row? That's pretty tough. And yeah, Denver was in there twice. They had the Knicks, Golden State, Utah. They've had some tough games, but this is a get-right spot for Brooklyn if everyone plays. It is a back-to-back. In terms of a total 233, it's really tough to look at any Detroit games and say I like the under, but it's also really tough to look at them and say I like the over because they're not contributing offensively. But like I said, the unders, they're not playing really that much defense either. So this is a total here that's 233. Kind of feels like a really sharp line and pegged pretty well. So I hate to kind of pass on it, but I'm on the fence. So I would lean slightly towards the over if you needed something, but I'm telling you transparently, it's nothing that really entices me. All right, Toronto taking on Utah. I don't mind Toronto in this spot. Yes, they're on a back-to-back, but, that line 5.5 seems pretty fair to me. Toronto, not like they're a world-beating team, but this Utah team is terrible on the road. 3-13 on the road. Their last road win was, against Detroit. Like, they're getting one of those wins on the road against the worst team in the league. So, give me Toronto. I think that, yes, they're on a back-to-back. Yes, they could be beaten and bruised after playing against the Sixers yesterday, but I think that this is a good spot against Utah on the road. Markkanen is questionable here, so keep an eye on the injury report for him, and keep an eye on the pin comment to see if we roll with this pick. I really don't hate it. I think that this could be a bounce back spot for Toronto, back to back or not. The total sitting at 229.5. So I peg Utah as a team that obviously is going to let up a lot of points and X, Y, and Z. Toronto on a back to back. I hope that they can give you probably like near 120, because that's what it's going to take to hit this over. So I think that I'm going to lean. It's a tough one. I went back and forth on this morning already a couple times. You know what? I think I'll lean towards the under, assuming that, Toronto scores, 111 or something like that, like they did last night. Still win by 5, meaning Utah doesn't really come to play. But I say that with like a cringe look on my face, because this Utah team plays very, very fast. Now, I say all the time, they're not a very efficient team. So even though they play with pace, they don't score a lot of buckets typically. Or they're actually sporadic and that type of thing too. But yeah, I'll lean towards the under, but hopefully you guys understand, even by me saying that's like, well, do I really trust it? It's going to make its way into a final play? Nah, I like the spread side more than anything in this spot. Hawks taking on the Grizzlies. The Hawks got my number or something, because we keep liking the Hawks in spots, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, no, this is bad. Why do we bet the Hawks, right? Well, I guess technically speaking, we took them against the Rockets, they cashed. We took them last night, they didn't. So it's not like they really have us in a chokehold, but playing Memphis tonight, and Memphis being dogs on the, favorites here on the road. I've seen this line jump all the way around. Earlier this morning, DraftKings and FanDuel had the favorite and underdog flipped. So it's like these things are kind of moving around this line. It's essentially a pick 'em. Who do you think is going to win the game? Like I told you already, I'm kind of waiting to see this whole Ja Morant thing play out, but it's not been the worst look, right? Like against Indiana and New Orleans, like the teams looked okay when he's playing. They're 2-0 with him back, so maybe Memphis is the spot here. But for whatever reason, I do think that this is a game in which Atlanta can kind of outrun Memphis. So I don't think that I make a final play here, but Atlanta on the second, I have a back-to-back. Maybe they're in a let's get this right type of a spot. So yeah. Sounding the psycho alert alarm again. We're leaning towards Atlanta. This time I'm not like, all right, we're making it a final play. I'm not doing that because it's Atlanta and they burned us last night. But I really don't think this is a bad spot for them. The total sitting at 240, which is super, super high in my opinion. Obviously, the Hawks are going to play zero defense and try to score a lot of points. But even last night, it wasn't really their best offensive night. Now, that was a tough matchup, but I think Memphis has some defensive players that can fall into a similar bucket there. So I'll lean towards the under in a very, very, very slight way. But this offense that we've seen since Ja Morant's gone back has gone 115 and 116. You know what I mean? Like, they scored 116 against the Pacers. So that game stayed low scoring and slow pace. And the Hawks are a B version of the pace that the Pacers play with, right? So it's like, if that game didn't run in a high scoring clip, then this one shouldn't either. All right, guys, before we get to the last few games of today's slate, let me talk to you about OddsJam. You got to go check it out. You got 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment, and you get 25% off your first month if you continue with a subscription with the code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON. This tool is absolutely fire. Like, identifying the odds, identifying the best prices in the market in terms of lines or in terms of odds. Like, you got to try out OddsJam, guys. It's a sports bettor's dream in terms of what they offer. If you want to mathematically dismantle sportsbooks, that is your spot. Obviously, if you're looking at trends or player history, okay, OddsJam isn't that spot, but this makes things easy to identify outliers in the market. So make sure to go check out OddsJam. Again, 25% off your first month with code GUYBOSTON. You can use that link in the pinned comment, get 7 days free as well. This tool is well worth it. I never push anything on the channel that I don't use myself. I'm in OddsJam for like 90% of the day sometimes, just looking at the best odds and best prices out there. Go check it out, guys. OddsJam. You can use that link in the pinned comment. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next game here. We got the Bulls taking on the Cavs, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of surprised that this line is where it is. Bulls playing good basketball. I'm not taking it away from them, but 5 points is they were favorable against San Antonio, 6.5. So now you have the Cavs team that, yeah, like I get it. This Cavs team is potentially in disarray too. Like, who knows what they are? They're talking trades, blah blah blah. But all of a sudden, it's like they're right there with the Spurs now. Donovan Mitchell, I believe, is already ruled out. No Garland, no Mobley. So maybe you can make the argument that, well, yeah, they should be kind of in the same ballpark as a Spurs spread without those guys. But it still just seems like a little bit too many points. Do I lean towards Cleveland? No, but I do say, like, I'm cautiously looking at the Bulls because this is a Bulls team that's been on fire. I get it, right? They've won 7 of their last 10. They've covered in 9 of their last 10. But at some point, the wheels do have to fall off there, or I would assume that they would. And maybe it's in this spot where, you know, they're at home. Cleveland's out all of their guys. Like, could be a spot in which they kind of get got. So I'll lean towards the Bulls, but it doesn't make its way into the final plays. The total at 218.5 is interesting to me because my numbers that I've crunched, the model here has this like being in the 130s or 230s, excuse me. So I'm looking at 218 and I'm like, is it because of the guys that are out on the Cleveland side of things? Maybe. They only scored, 105 or something against New Orleans last game. Like, maybe they don't score that many points, but 218.5. I think I've seen it at 250 or 217.5 or on Bet365, 216.5 now on Bet365. Shout out to Odds Jam for being able to find the odds and lines quickly, right? I think I'm leaning towards the over, but something's off here. Like, smells like a trap. Like, why is that set so low, right? But you know what? We'll take a peek at it. I don't mind the over. All right, OKC taking on the Lakers. Now, the Lakers live for Christmas Day games, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking forward to that. You know, Anthony Davis, LeBron for sure, right? And you have a Josh Giddey. We don't need to talk about him and how he killed our PRA the other night. But as I battle through a burp here. But Josh Giddey's on the injury report. You know, he is obviously a highly used guy on that team. I think that this is a spot in which the Lakers really don't care to come to play. They've lost, 4 or 5 straight games. They lost to San Antonio, the Knicks, who really didn't even play like that great at basketball, Chicago, who's been hot, and then they lose to Minnesota, which is understandable, right? But I think that Lakers team is looking right forward to Christmas. They don't care about this game, whereas OKC is just this young, hungry, good basketball team, right? Winning 3 straight games. They've covered in 3 straight games. They were 10.5-point favorites against Memphis. They beat them by damn near 20. So give me OKC in this spot again. OKC's maybe missing Giddey, but you know, giddy up, let's go. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, especially with Anthony Davis on the injury report. And honestly, like, so is LeBron, but that is kind of a given, right? Wouldn't be surprised if you guys just don't play. Like why risk it before Christmas? Did that rhyme? Why risk miss before Christmas? So we got total sitting at 238. It's a high number, but I don't think OKC has any trouble scoring. Like, I'm not taking this personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if OKC drops 130 on their head tonight. Which, you know, if this is sitting at 238, then I gotta lean towards the over, right? If I think OKC's gonna have that successful of an offensive night, you gotta look at it from that spot, I guess. So yeah, I'll lean towards the over. Last time they played, OKC dropped 133, and that was just what, a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago or so. So yeah, I don't mind that spot whatsoever. All right, we got the Spurs taking on the Mavs. You're going to want to wait out the injury report here. All those guys that missed Dallas's game yesterday are still questionable, Luka included. But the Mavs, you know, did not look like themselves. They honestly haven't been playing that great at basketball, but they had to play Denver and the Clippers and then a Houston team in which Houston's healthy. Mavs really weren't, right? A lot of guys sitting out. So either way, I don't necessarily think that this is a bad spot if you lean towards the Mavs, but I want to suss out that injury report, okay, before we make any sort of move on it. Now, the total is where it gets interesting. 239. I like it. I think this game could really easily get into the 240s. But you're going to want some injury report updates there too. But the San Antonio team does not play a lick of defense. You know, they've been letting up tons of points all year long. As long as they can contribute, which that's kind of not a given, but as long as they can contribute to some degree, then we should be looking at a game that, yeah, with the pace of play of the Mavericks when healthy, they should be looking at a total that's kind of in the 240. So I don't hate the over here. Do we pull the trigger? We'll wait to see the injury report come out. All right, guys, if you're still watching, go ahead and drop 23 in the comments because you made it 23 minutes into the video. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. But yeah, drop that if you're still watching now. Make sure you get those hashtag right of the days in. And I'm very excited. We might go, like I said, live later too. Like, we're really building this damn thing. We're putting in the hours, putting in the work. Late nights, early mornings, all that stuff. Uphill both ways. But it is great to see. So I appreciate all you guys commenting and liking and subscribing for sure. But we got a game to talk about here. We got Golden State heavily favored, -9. Last time they played, I told you, Portland's probably going to cover this line, and they did. They lose by 4, but they were 6-point dogs. Portland, on the road this year, I don't like. At home, I guess I should say, I don't like them overall, but when they play perimeter-heavy offenses like Golden State, I expect them to keep some games close here. So, do I have the cojones to make this a final play? maybe not, okay? But I don't mind Portland catching 9 points against a back-to-back Warriors team, in which a Warriors team that, they looked sharp last night, but that they didn't even cover, right? Like that was, I guess, they covered their closing line. I think it ended at like 11, which they won by 11. But for most of the day, that was a 12-point spread. So it's like they should have beat up on Washington a little bit more than they did. Still a quality win. I'm not really taking away from them, but like they could have blown them out in a sense. So I'm gonna lean towards Portland here. But again, it's like, are we gonna bet Portland? No, but the data is there to kind of back that. Perimeter defense against perimeter heavy teams. We know the Warriors live on the perimeter. So if Portland can play good perimeter defense, this game stays close. I don't think Golden State wins by 10. So I'll take the 9 points. In terms of a total here, 233. I guess I'll lean towards the under ever so slightly because it kind of fits that game script I'm talking about. That, yeah, Golden State's probably going to win, but they don't have this successful offensive outpouring, right? And on a back-to-back, maybe they're not as fresh, right? I think Curry got some rest because they started to blow them out. So he got some rest. I think him and Clay, neither one of them hit 30 minutes last night. So shouldn't be that big of a deal. But regardless, I do think that, 233 is just a little bit too high. All right, Kings taking on the Timberwolves. This is probably going to be a very good game. Last time they played was just about a month ago, and the Kings win that game 124-111. What I will say is, Kings, you got them on a back-to-back here, so that's not the best of spots in a team like Minnesota who could grind you down, right? So I'll get it right up there and say that. But Kings are playing good basketball, man. Like they are. I liked them yesterday against the Suns. We didn't end up pulling the trigger on it. Wish we did, obviously, but that's been the story for the last 2 weeks, right? Our leans have been spot on. Some of these damn final plays aren't coming through for us. But yeah, I'll lean Sacramento just because if they keep up this offensive output, Minnesota, as good as they are defensively, like they could struggle to, I guess, stop it. So I'll be honest. If you're on the Minnesota side of things, I get it, and I don't think that I'm here to talk you off of that because this should be a good game all the way around. But I like the Kings at home. Back-to-back scares me a little bit. It could be the thing that doesn't make it a final play, right? Starters in terms of their minutes, Fox played 33 minutes. Sabonis played 35. Like these guys could have some tired legs, whereas Minnesota's coming into this a little bit more fresh. But I just think the way the Kings are playing right now, they're a tough team to beat, even with the world-beating defense of Minnesota coming in. Now the total sitting at 232.5. I'm going to lean towards the over here. Like I said, I think the Kings kind of get Minnesota's number in terms of the defensive side of things. So if Minnesota's not going to play that great a defense, it's going to be a game that comes down to offense, and we'll take the over 232.5 here as well. So those are my leans there, guys. That's going to wrap for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. We might be going live later, so keep an eye out for that. I'll put it on the community tab if we do. But yeah, might be going live later, having a blast doing that. So go ahead and get ready for that, I guess. Go ahead and get ready. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.